నమో నమః. అందరికీ నమస్కారములు. శుభోదయం. This is a good morning to everybody. Today we have a new speaker, Padmanabha garu. Let us all welcome him. He will take the topic on Ramayana. We will start with Vande Mataram, and we have Prarthana, and then we'll request him to start his webinar. So let's have Vande Mataram, please. Let us all stand up.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sufalam, Malaya Jasitalam, Sasya Syamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram. Subrajyosna pulakitayaminim pullakusumita drumadala sobinim suhasinim sumadhura bhashinim sukhadam varadam mataram vande mataram. Vande Mataram. Namaskar.
ధన్యవాదాలండి శశిబాబు గారు. Now let us have Sundaraji doing pradhana for all of us.
Sarvebhyah namaskaraः. Pradhamam 1 minute dhyanam after 3 times Omkaram. Dhyanam. Oh, 3 minutes, 3 times Omkaram. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Sesivarnam Chaturjam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Saradindu Samakare Parabrahmaswarupini Vasarapidha Nilaye Saraswati Namostute. Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Matrudevo Bhava Pitrudevo Bhava Acharya Devo Bhava Adidhi Devo Bhava. Om Shantihi शान्तिः शान्तिः ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमस्कारः सर्वे।
నమస్కారం పద్మనాభరావు గారు, స్వాగతం.
ప్రభాకర్ రావు గారు,
పద్మనాభరావు గారు నమస్కారం, స్వాగతం.
నమస్కారం.
ధన్యవాదాలు for accepting our invitation and joining us.
Thank you.
Now let us request Padmanabha Rao garu to start his webinar, please. Sir, please.
Shubhodayam. Namaskaram to all. Vagadha viva sampraktau vagadha pratipattaye jagatah pitarau vande Parvati Parameshwarau Valmiki Girisambhuta Ramasagaragamini Srimad Ramayani Ganga Punati Bhavanatrayam Shulokasara Samakirnam Sarga Kallola Sankulam Kandagraha Mahaminam Vande Ramayanarnavam Manojabam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varam Vatatmajam Vanarayudha Mukyam Sri Ramadutam Sirasa Namami Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunadhaya Nadhaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Namaskar to all the enlightened members of this audience. You may have a doubt, what is my competence to talk on this subject? Here I have to submit about my own credentials. Way back in 1980s, I have written a book called Ramayananlo Sri Patralu. It was published by Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanams. It is a translation of Dr. Yelapauluri Panduranga Rao's Woman in Valmiki. He was a great scholar. He stayed in New Delhi. He was the official language director of Union Public Service Commission. He has written commentary of Vishnu Sahasranama also. He published these articles in one of the magazines of Hyderabad, and I was very much impressed on these articles. And then I requested him whether I can translate it. He immediately agreed, and I translated them into Ramayananlo Sri Patralu. Later, after my retirement, I thought I should do something to the...
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I have missed one very important this event of this day, that introducing you to the audience. So can I have 1 minute to do that?
Please, 3 minutes.
Yeah. Lalita ji, can you please introduce Padmanabha garu to the audience?
Sarvebhyah Namaskaraha. And today's our guest, I welcome him. We honorably welcome him on behalf of Veda Samskruti Samiti and Sanaatana Dharma course, all the students present here. It's an honor to really have you here, sir. Really seeing your profile and background, we all were really astonished, and we are really thankful for accepting our invitation on behalf of Veda Samskruti Samiti, as our president already welcomed you. I would like to just tell a few sentences about sir. He is actually a retired additional director of Doordarshan and All India Radio.
Director General, madam.
Director General of All India Radio, and means he has been a producer, and he is academically, sir has done his all his PhD and all from SV University, and he has done a lot of diplomas also in yoga and so many other he has in journalism, and he is a MA gold medalist also. And he has done journalism, public relations, astrology, and even presently he is working as a CEO of Ananta IAS Academy, both in Bangalore and Hyderabad. Till now, he's been very active as a dean and all in many IAS academies, Narayana IAS. He's been a coordinator for SV Bhakti channel, coordinator in TTD Tirupati, additional DG of Doordarshan New Delhi, director of program, that is again Director General, All India Radio New Delhi, station director, All India Radio New Delhi, 4 channels. 1997, he was the director of All India Radio Vijayawada, Kadapa, Anantapur. And 1987, he was the assistant station director, All India Radio Hyderabad. And he was in 1982 producer, All India Radio Kadapa and Vijayawada. 1975, Government Degree College teaching. That's where his career started. Apart from that, he has a lot of publications to his credit. Nearly 120 books of literary value, both in English and Telugu, and about 2,000 articles in various leading newspapers and magazines. And he's been honored with so many awards, like Kavitraya Award, recipient of Anjaneyulu Award, Best Translation Award from Telugu University, EK Award, Delhi Telugu Academic Award. There are so many national and international awards, like we can say. Rashtriya Ekta Award, Annamacharya Peetam US Award, Second Telugu Writers Meet US Award, Kanchi Paramacharya Puraskar, National Integration Award, Venkat Swami Gupta Award, Bejawada Gopal Reddy Award, Rashtriya Gaurav Puraskar, Vedurupaka Swamiji Award, Sanaatana Dharma Trust Award, Dubai Telugu Association Award, Kinnara Ugadi Puraskar, Kinnara Art Theatre Award, like that, and also, he has been a guest faculty in Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi, AP Open University, Hyderabad, Osmania University, Hyderabad, University of Hyderabad, Padmavati University, Tirupati, Academic Staff College, Tirupati, Jamia Millia University, New Delhi, IGNOU, New Delhi, Telugu University, Hyderabad, Central University, Hyderabad, Sweta Training Institute, Tirupati, MCR HRD, Ministry of HRD, Hyderabad, AP Police Academy, Hyderabad, Civil Services Coaching Centers, Hyderabad and Bangalore. And he has so many associations with universities, starting with SV University, Sri Krishnadevara University, Anantapur, where he's been an adjudicator of there, and also in Nagarjuna University, Vikrama Simhapuri University, Nellore, Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapit, New Delhi. He's an advisor on media relations, Rashtriya Sanskrit Vishwavidyalayam, Tirupati, advisor on media, AP Open University, Hyderabad. He's a textbook writer also for MA, and that is public relations, and MA Telugu. And he's in Jamia Millia University, examiner for MA journalism in Banaras Hindu University and Nannaya University, Rajamandri, Padmavati University, Tirupati for MA journalism. And he's on to many advisory committees also. He's an accessor for UPSC Delhi, member, Regional Workers Education Advisory Committee, Hyderabad, for 3 years. He's been a member. And he's also the member of editorial board of Akshara Rasmi Hyderabad, Kadapa, and chairman of Intermedia Publicity Committee, New Delhi from 1997 to 2000. And he's on other expert committees of UGC on EMRC's New Delhi. He had been a member, and AP State Council for Higher Education, Hyderabad. He was a member of expert committee on MSc 2005 to 2009, and member of publication committee, National Manuscript Mission 2017. And he has lots of fellowships to his credit, like Senior Fellow, Department of Culture, New Delhi, and National Tagore Scholar, Department of Culture, New Delhi from 2015 to 2017. And he has lots of memberships of life member of IIPA, New Delhi, life member of Program Staff Association, All India Radio, life member of ASCII, Hyderabad, associate member BES, New Delhi. And he has done a lot of research on Dr. R.A.P. Rao works, MPhil by Sri Shyam Prasad of SK University, PhD by Sri Potulaya, SK University, PhD by Srimati Nagamani, Telugu University, Hyderabad. MPhil by T. Chandrasekhar, SV University. PhD by teacher. Means these people, they have been guided and they have taken their PhD through Sir. PhD by T. Chandrasekhar, PhD by Chittamma, University of Hyderabad. And commentaries, he's been an expert in running commentary of Sri Shailam, Bhadrachalam and Tirumala for Brahmotsvams and Kalyanotsvams over All India Radio, Doordarshan, SVBC and other channels from 1982 onwards. Visits abroad, seminar on broadcasting at Germany in August 1996 for 1 month. Visit to UK, that is Birmingham, 1999. Visit to USA 2002. Visit to USA 2007 and visit to Dubai in 2014. Titles and honors. Asthana Vidwan, Kanchi Kamakoti Pitam, 2009 onwards. Swarna Kankanam by Dr. Bejawada Gopal Reddy Committee, Nellore in 2004. Swarna Kankanam by Kinnara Art Theatres, Hyderabad, 2016. Ashtama Kavi, Sri Pushpagiri Shankaracharya Pitam, Hyderabad, 2021. Post held, Honorary President, Sahitya Sahiti in Hyderabad, 2015 till date. President Adi Shankara IAS Academy, Bhimavaram, 2014. And he was the president of PRSI chapter Tirupati till 2010, from 2008 to 2010. Honorary Vice President, Madras Telugu Academy, 2002 onwards. Treasurer, Indian IIPA chapter Tirupati, 2007 to 2009. And President Ananta Lakshmikanta Sahiti Peetam, Hyderabad, from 2000 onwards. Vice President Agrashri Tirupati, from 2007 to 2016. Vice President Saragamala, Hyderabad, from 1999. Expertise in civils coaching. Founder, Principal, Narayana IAS Academy, Hyderabad, 2011 to 12. Guest faculty, civils coaching at 3 institutions, Hyderabad, 2012 till date. Author 10 books in English and Telugu for civils. That is on job interviews, Gyan publications, ethics, integrity and aptitude, Telugu academic publication, Hyderabad, marathon race.
Madam, సరిపోతుందిలేండి మేడం.
Okay, okay. So this all Sir gurinchi cheppalante. There is we need a lot of time about his experience, and there's a lot more to learn from you, sir. We are really honored to have you as our speaker today, guest speaker today. On behalf of Veda Samskruti Samiti, with due respect, we all welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Lalita ji. Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, sir.
Very impressive profile. Thank you, sir. Please
thank
go ahead.
It was an elaborate description about my achievements. I thank Lalita ji. I was mentioning about my works on Ramayana. After retirement, I thought of abridging the Valmiki Ramayana, and I made it at Sangraha Valmiki Ramayana. It is a very good treatise on Valmiki Ramayana, and I didn't deviate from Valmiki, and I made it useful for the youngsters particularly. It was very much appreciated by the scholars also. And another important thing which I did was, Ramayana is known as Sanaatana also. So taking that lead, I have written about the mental aspect of the different characters of Ramayana, particularly woman characters. That I have captioned it as Antaranga Tarangam Sitayanam. The main characters which I have taken were about 18 characters, right from Sita Amma and other characters. I will be discussing them in a little while. Another important thing which I did was, for the competitive examinations of Group 1 services, there is a subject called as Hindu Dharma. There they have commissioned me to abridge Ramayana, Bharata, and Bhagavata, each in 30 pages. So I did it, and it was published also. And most importantly, as Lalita ji told, I was a running commentator for radio and Doordarshan and SVBC for the last 30 years at Bhadrachalam. I had the opportunity of serving the God at the time of the Kalyana. And during the Corona period, one of the institutes in Hyderabad, Kinnera, they wanted me to have 7-day discourses on Ramayana. So I did it on Ramayana Saptaha, and the inauguration was done by none other than Dr. K.V. Ramanacharya. This was only a small introduction about my introduction to the Valmiki Ramayana. Normally, when we think of the poet Valmiki, he is the Adikavi, because in Sanskrit, he was the first poet who composed a lyrical and poetical work. That's why he was known as Adikavi. And if we go through the life history of Valmiki, it is very interesting. None other than an emperor, Raghunatha Nayaka, has composed a poem. And this is the first of its kind, a biography in poetry of a poet. And it will be a pleasant surprise to know about the previous history of sage Valmiki, who composed Ramayana. Because if we go deep into Ramayana, at least we should know about the character of Valmiki also. The humblest part is Valmiki was also a part and parcel of the character of Ramayana. Similarly, in Bharata and Bhagavata also, the composer Vyasa was also a character. So if you are also involved in the drama, then you will be feeling the drama and you will be very much enthused to tell about the main characters. The history of Valmiki Charitra is written in a lucid style by the emperor of Tanjore, Raghunatha Nayaka. He belonged to 1600 and 1631. Tanjore kingdom was under the rule of Achyuta Devaraya during those days. He was the cousin of Sri Krishna Devaraya. Similarly, the Mathura kingdom was under the rule of Sri Krishna Devaraya. Raghunatha Nayaka was a great devotee of Lord Rama. All his works were dedicated to Lord Ramchandra only. Here we have to take an example where Krishna Devaraya had 8 poets under the name of Bhavana Vijaya. Similarly, this Raghunatha Nayaka had a court of 8 poets christened as Indira Mandira. So 8 poets were there, including Rangajamma. Besides composing Ramayana, Raghunatha Nayaka has narrated the history of Valmiki also as an epic. It is for the first time that a poet's life has been narrated in the epic form. The story goes like this. Who is this Valmiki? Saptarshis, they are very famous in the Puranas. After completing their pilgrimage, they reached a small tribal village on the banks of river Tamasa Tiram. There, a dacoit obstructed them and punished them to extract money from them. That is the turning point in his life. They questioned him whether the sins conducted by him will be shared by his wife and children. He asserted that she will definitely share it. Then they advised him to inquire from her and come back, whether she is also responsible to accept all his sins. He thought that the sages wanted to escape from him. It is a very laughing incident. They promised him that they will not move an inch. And he went home to find out from his wife about the question posed by the sages. She was doing some homely work, and when he approached, she said, I am not at all concerned about your sins which you have done to give us food. So it is my responsibility to cook whatever you have brought and share it with the children. And she said she has nothing to do with the sins performed by him. It was a turning point in his life. He came to the conclusion that the wife and husband are like 2 wooden logs. Here we have to remember this. They are like 2 wooden logs flowing in a stream and separated after a while. We can see in the river also, if we stand at the river bed, there will be 2 wooden logs going, and after some time they will be separated. Similarly, the wife and husband. Within a few minutes, he returned back to the sages. They were kind enough to him. They gave him 2 syllables, Ma and Ra. They did not give him straight away Rama because he is a dacoit and he may not accept it. So they said, you repeat it. Then Mara becomes Rama. The tribal man, with the greatest devotion, started repeating the words, and he was deeply involved in tapasya. His family members persuaded him to return back home, but he did not listen to them. Because normally what happens, the family members think that this man is not in good moods and he may come back to his family, but he did not go back. The penance continued for a long time. Normally, whenever a person does tapasya, Indra is very much agitated. So as usual, Lord Indra was perturbed and sent Rambha and Urvasi to distract the penance of this gentleman. They could not succeed. On their return, the Saptarshis again found him meditating. He came out of the Valmika and prostrated before them. Since he came out of Valmika, they christened him as Valmiki. This is the beginning of his life. Since he was there in that Valmikam, Putta, we call in Telugu, he came out of it, so he is known as Valmiki. The later story we all know. Then we have to remember one incident in Andhra Pradesh. There is a important story we have to remember. That is, Valmiki is connected with a village in Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh. There is a village called Vayalpadu. Recently, it has been renamed as Valmikipuram. The reason being, a temple, Pattabhiramalayam, is existing there, and it is about 100 kilometers from Tirupati and 20 kilometers from Madanapalli. The name of the Lord is Veerapratapa Rama. Normally we call Lord Rama, but there in that temple, the Lord's name is Veerapratapa Rama. It seems sage Valmiki did penance on Shatashrunga Parvata for a long time. Lord Rama appeared before him and blessed him. After a few days, the idols of Sita, Rama, Lakshmana, and Bharata, Shatrughna, and Hanumanta were found at a nearby place. It appears that the monkey lord Jambavanta built the temple there, and it has become a Valmiki Kshetra. That is why it is known as Valmikipura. In Sri Krishnadevaraya developed this temple during this period, and the saint poet Annavacharya, all of you as know that he has composed about 42,000 kirtanas on Lord Venkateshwara. Annavacharya, he composed about 27 songs in praise of this god Rama, of this Valmikipuram. The poetess Vengamamba, Tarigonda Vengamamba, all of us know, she lived in a nearby place called Tarigonda, and she conducted Rama Pattabhisheka here with great devotion. The speciality of this temple is that all the entrance gates of the temple are on the northern side. Normally we have towards the eastern side. And unlike in other places, Sita Devi is on the right side of the Sriram. The tradition goes that instead of performing the annual Brahmotsavams during the star Punarasu Nakshatra, they are held at the time of Aslesha. Aslesha is the birth star of Sita as well as Lakshmana and Shatrughna. Rama does not wear any arrows on his hand. This is another peculiarity. His index finger is pointed to recollect his oath of one word, one arrow. Oke mata, oke bana. This origin of Ramayana is very interesting. All of us know that. Manishada pratishtantum agamas shaswati sama yat karauncha midunadekam avadhi kamamohitam. This is the beginning of the Valmiki Ramayana, as all of us know. Watching the bird dying in the hands of an archer, Valmiki was perturbed. At this stage, Narada appeared before him, and Valmiki had several questions posed to him. Narada narrated the entire story of Rama. Later, Brahma appeared. Here we have to recollect how it started, because the way he thought of composing Ramayana, he had several questions. So Valmiki asked Narada, Konvasmin sampradam loke gunavan kasya vidyavan dharmajnascha kratagnyascha satyavakyo drudavratah charitrena chako yuktah sarvabhuteshu kohitah vidvan kasamadhascha kasyaika priyadarshanaha atmavan ko jitakrodho jyutiman ko nasuyakah. As a child, he will be having so many questions to his parents. Similarly, Valmiki was in a mood to compose an epic, but he wanted a hero, a real hero, and he had several questions to Narada. And then Narada, in his own way, he replied, Ikshvaku vamsha prabhavo Ramo nama janaishrutah dharmajnas sacha sandascha prajanam chahite ratah. This is the thing we have to remember. He was always interested in the welfare of the public. Yashasvi jnana sampanna suchirvasyak samadhiman. This is the way Narada has given the reply to him. When Valmiki was moving and this Manishada shloka came, he was also interested how this shloka has come into his mouth. Padabadho, this Anushtup Chandaha, it has 16 syllables. Padabadho aksharasama tantrilaya samanvitaha. You can sing it. Shokartasya pravurtohi shloko bhavatu nanyadha. He himself has confirmed that it is a shloka come out of his deep depression. Then Brahma appeared before him and he said, you are the first person and the best person to compose the life of Rama. And he blessed her. Yavastasyanti girayaha saritascha mahitale tavad Ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishyati. As long as the hills are there, as long as the rivers are there, this Ramayana will continue it. And Ramayana is otherwise known as Sitayana, as I have earlier submitted to you. And Paulasya Vadha, the another name of Ramayana is the death of Ravana. Paulasya is Ravana. So this is the way a Valmiki Ramayana has come into effect. And Brahma gave him the advice to compose this. And in Telugu literature also, several translations have come. Unlike in the case of Mahabharata and Bhagavata, there was only one or two narrations in translations. Mahabharata was translated into Telugu by three poets, Kavitraya, Nannaya, Tikkana, and Errapragada, and Bhagavata by Potana and two others. Whereas in the case of Ramayana, several Ramayanas have appeared. They include Gonabuddha Reddy. He was also an emperor. He wrote Ranganatha Ramayana in Drupada. And Tikkana, he composed a Nirvachanottara Ramayana. It is without prose. That is, it is known as Nirvachanottara Ramayana. And Bhaskara, he wrote Bhaskara Ramayana. Molla, the poetess Molla, she wrote Molla Ramayana. Kattavarada Raja, he wrote Kattavarada Raja Ramayana. And one gentleman, Kuchimanchi Timmakavi, he wrote Achatelugu Ramayana. And several other poets in different languages also. In Malayalam, there is a Ramacharitam. And in Kannada, Thorave Ramayana is there. And so many plays based on Ramayana were there in the Sanskrit also. Pratima Nataka and Abhisheka Nataka of Bhasa. And Bhabubhuti has written Uttara Ramacharitra. Kalidasa in poetry has written the great Raghuvamsham also. When coming to Hindi, the Ramacharita Manasa of Goswami Tulsidas is a great popular book and a sacred book kept in the Puja Gruha of all the northern people. In Telugu, Vishwanatha Ramayana Kalparuksha had the distinction of winning Jnanapith Award, the first of its kind in Telugu, followed by Vishwambara of Sri Narayana Reddy. It got the Jnanapith Award, and Vakudu Raldu of Raburi Bharadwaja, and the third Jnanapith Award for Telugu. Then somebody questioned Vishwanath Satyanarayana, why you are attempting again Ramayana when there are so many Ramayanas available in Telugu? He politely replied, Marala idela Ramayanam vannacho manujundu ta tinnai annam betinuchunundu tana ruchi bratukulu tana bigana. It's a very simple and humble way of replying. He said, every day we eat the same food, but we have our own taste. And that is why we go on eating every day. Similarly, there may be several poets who can write Ramayana. The story of Ramayana is closely associated with Andhra Pradesh also. Sita and Rama spent a good number of years in Dandakaranya. They stayed at Panchavati. Bhadrachalam is famous for the anecdotes of Sita and Rama. Government of India recently, about a week back, I prepared a Ramayana circuit rail connecting about 18 places for 18 days. If we look at the places of Ramayana route, it starts from Ayodhya, Chitrakuta, Nasik, where Shorpanaka's nose was cut by Lakshmana, Panchavati near Godavari River, Kishkinda in Maharashtra, Rishyamukha Parvata, Bhadrachalam and Lepakshi. Lepakshi is about Jatayu's funeral rites. And Rameshwaram, Dhanushkoti, Ramasetu. When we remember this Ramasetu, 10 years back, when UPA government was there was a Supreme Court case where the government of India has filed an affidavit about the bridge Ramasetu. Hanuman's flight to Suveragiri and finally Trikuta Parvata, these are the places connected with Ramayana. Sita belongs to the neighboring Nepal. She is the daughter of Mithila King Janaka. Sri Rama traveled across the entire country during his 14 years of exile. Several personalities helped Rama. We have to remember the character of Rama. And the story of Guha in cleaning the feet of Rama is a very touching incident. He is afraid of his boat converting into a woman. Mullah composed a beautiful poem in this context. All of us know the way how Guha treated Rama. So I am not narrating that story, but the way Mullah, in a humble way, presented the scene is like this. Sudiguna Ramapadamulu sokina, Sudiguni Ramapadamulu sokina dhuli vahinchi, Rai Erpada oka kantai anata. Guha is telling this. Sudiguni Ramapadamulu sokina dhuli vahinchi, Rai Erpada oka kantai anata. Ponnuga Itani Padarenu, Yedabadi, Odasoki, Odasoki. Idi Emagunoyani, Samsayat Mudai, Kadige Guhundu, Rama Padakanja Yugamu, Bayam Pempunan. He was very much better since he heard about the story of Ahalya. So, here in the incident of episode of Ahalya, first time the divinity of Rama was revealed to the entire world. First time Rama showed his divinity. On the occasion of Tatakavadha, he showed his valor and he simply accepted the words of Vishwamitra. He has a doubt whether I should kill a woman, but that was the first incident in his life and he killed Tataka because Vishwamitra ordered him. And similarly, at the place of Shabari also, the Matanga Ashrama, Rama had the privilege of knowing to the world the entire divinity of his. Matanga Maharshi was there, and Shabari waited for a long time to Rama to come because her guru told that you wait till Rama comes and then you leave this world. The friends of Rama are different people or different sects. The Vanara king Sugriva made friendship with Rama. It was a mutual understanding because Rama has to help him in killing his brother Vali. There is a tussle between two brothers of Vanara, Sugriva and Vali. There was a misunderstanding, but it again went to the extent of killing Vali. So in turn, the king promised to help Rama in search of Sita. The other characters like Hanuman, Angada, and Jambavanta are prominent when we think of the friendship of Rama. From the side of demon, Vibhishana took shelter under Rama. Rama never behaved like a divine personality. This is the thing which we have to remember. Whereas in the other avatars, starting from Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, and Parshurama avatars, there was a divinity and there was a purpose to have these avatars. Instead, he claimed himself as an ordinary man. He said, Atmanam manusham manye, Atmanam manusham manye, Ramam dasharathatmajam. And another way he said, Ramo, this way, the personality of Rama was described by Maricha. Ramo vigrahavan dharmaha. He is the embodiment of virtues. So these words of Rama saying that I am simply a son of Dasharatha, it indicates his humility and the way humbleness, that is particular thing. Contrary to the claim of Rama, Vishwamitra told Dasharatha, when he was unwilling to send Rama with him like this. The episode we know, Vishwamitra entered into the court hall of Dasharatha and he requested him to send Rama along with him. Dasharatha was very much not in a mood to separate himself with Rama, and he requested, Una shodasha varsho me Ramo rajivalochana na yuddha yogyatamasya pasyami saharakshasaihi. He is not more than 16 years old, and he is a very, very, very simple man, and he is not able to accompany you and participate in the tussle. And the translation of this sloka has been done by me. Padunare dula chinni papa dakata papat mulaurakkasul sadarangam mulanadu karadavi me sahayulayenil ture ne vachada rakasula mattu bettedanu matsainyam buven ventaran. He himself came forward, Dasharatha, to accompany Vishwamitra instead of sending Rama. At this point of time, Dasharatha claimed, my Rama. Why he has to say this? May Rama. Because he begot him after performing the Putrakameshti at an older age, after 60,000 long years. He said he is afraid of even the mention of the name of Ravana. And when Vishwamitra said, Maricha and Subahu are sent by Ravana to destroy your yaga. Here we have to remember an episode. There is a very colloquial way. They said, Sita and Rama, they were spending happy times. And they just were talking in a little manner, saying that Rama questioned or explained to Sita, dear Sita, it seems in Mithila, people are very lucky in getting the child without any big attempts. Because he was mentioning about Sita born on a place where it was being dug and through a plow. So he says, Sita, Mithila Nagaranlo, పిల్లలు చాలా సులభంగా పుడుతున్నారట, అయోధ్య నగరంలో అలా కాదు అని. వెంటనే she retorted, yes, my dear Rama, in Ayodhya, in Mithila we have to plow, we have to keep the earth very safe, and then only we will be plowing, and the rains have to come and all these things. Then only we are begetting children. Whereas in Ayodhya, if you take Paisa, you have 4 children. This is very interesting. No worry to have begetting children. This way, both of them, it seems, they said, Payasam tagitene nalugures pillalu pudutunnarata mee deshanlo Rama ani Sita annatluga cheptunnaru. Putrakameshti, the way he has performed and the distribution of Payasa that we will discuss at a later stage. When Dasharatha told that I cannot send Rama, Vishwamitra says, you says me Rama, this is my Rama. Aham vedmi mahatmanam, which is Vishwamitra who is telling. Aham vedmi mahatmanam, Ramam satyaparakramam, Vasishthobi mahateja, meje me tapasistitaha, yadite dharmalabhancha, yasasascha paramam bhuvi, sthitamicchasi Rajendra, Ramam me datumarhasi. You said you know Rama and he is your own Rama, but I also know what is the characteristics of Rama. He is a Rama who is a Satyaparakrama, and your own Guru Vasishtha knows his valor and his greatness. So I need his presence only. And finally, Vasishtha also advised Dasharatha to send Rama. It's another bonus point. When Rama goes, Lakshmana also follows. So both Rama and Lakshmana, they were ready to accompany Vishwamitra. When Maricha threatened Ravana to fight with Rama, the embodiment of virtue, he said, is none other than a simple embodiment. When Ravana threatened Maricha of dire consequences, he politely said he would be happy to die in the hands of Rama than Ravana. He knew the fate of his brother Subahu, because during the yaga of Vishwamitra, Subahu was killed. He even mentioned that the syllable Ra itself is terrible for his ears. This is the words uttered by Maricha. Rama, unlike Sri Krishna, he never showed his divinity. Because when we compare the story of Sri Krishna and Rama, there's a lot of difference. Recently, one of our friends, he sent Bommala Bala Bhagavatam to his grandson at America. And he studied it. It was in a lucid manner. And he was very much impressed at the characteristics of Sri Krishna. But he telephoned his grandfather and said, Grandpa, it appears to me that Sri Krishna is a serial killer, because he has seen so many detective novels and serials. Starting with Putana, it goes on. Sri Krishna killed Shakatasura, Kali, Chanura Mustika, and Kamsa, Shishupala. All these things, when we remember, he is almost like a serial killer. This Rama's anger was at its heights only on very, very few occasions. When Samudra did not heed to his request of giving path to Lanka, he became furious. This is an incident which we have to remember, because Rama only on 2-3 occasions was very much in anger. Samudra appeared before him with folded hands, and Rama agreed to the proposal of construction of a Setu bridge. Rama is an ordinary human being. He wept like a common man when Sita was abducted. He wept like any other human being. Valmiki described it in Kishkinda Kanda at length. Rama even felt bad about his fate, because he never criticized anybody. He said, it is my fate and I have to go by the fate which is to the destiny. When we compare the brotherhood of Ramayana, it is very, very, very interesting part. Rama and Lakshmana, they are always inseparable. They live it together. Similarly, Bharata and Shatrughna, they were also inseparable people. And a small incident which I have to narrate definitely is a live example of Lakshmana's character. At the place of Shatashranga Parvata, when Rama, Lakshmana, followed by Hanuman, met Sugriva, Sugriva showed him the ornaments of Sita Devi, which were tied up in a small cloth. When they were opened, Rama was full of tears he could not recognize what are the things there. And he requested Lakshmana to identify whether the ornaments belong to Sita. Lakshmana replied in a very, very pleasant manner, Nahan janami keyure, nahan janami kundale, nupure tvabhijanami, nityam padabhivandana. This is a very classic example of Lakshmana's pure humility and benevolence towards great Sita. He says, dear brother, Nahan janami keyure, I doesn't know about his anklets. Nahan janami kundale, nupure tvabhijanami. Since I every day salute Mother Sita, I know these anklets. Nityam padabhivandana. This is a classical example of Lakshmana's behavior. Even during the childhood also, it seems, when both of them were in the cradle, Rama and Lakshmana was crying. And similarly, Rama was also crying. Then they could not control their cry. And finally, the Guru, Vasishtha, he came to the scene. And he thought, why these two brothers are crying like this at a very first day or second day. Then he moved Lakshmana to the place of cradle of Rama. And both of them were very happy and they were glowing with very, very happiness. That is the way both the brothers behaved, like the brotherhood as a temple. Another important thing is, when Rama was about to leave for the forest, Lakshmana was also ready to go, and he persuaded him to take him also. And in the similar case of Bharata and Shatrughna also, they are like very, very close brothers. The story in Ananda Ramayana and other places, they say, when the distribution of paisa was done, Dasharatha distributed the paisa in two halves, one to Kaikeyi and another half to Kausalya. First he gave to Kausalya and then to Kaikeyi. And it seems both of them gave half of half to Sumitra. And she got both the children, Bharata and Shatrughna. And one son is devoted towards Rama, that is Bharata, and Lakshmana. And that is another son, Shatrughna, is very much attached to Bharata. And Rama and Bharata, this brotherhood also is a great example in the history of Ramayana. When Bharata approached Rama to come back and rule Ayodhya, forgetting whatever has happened, he did not agree. There is a big argument between Bharata and Rama. They discussed at length the way how a virtuous person should be behaving. So finally, Bharata also agreed to the proposal of Rama in taking his footwear, Paduka, and he made it a Paduka Pattabhisheka. And for 14 years, they ruled the entire Ayodhya. And it seems during the evenings, he came to these Padukas and he narrated the entire day happenings to the king as if the Padukas are the king. And in the Nandigrama, they were respected like the Maharaja sitting on the throne. And on the next day of the 14th year, he said, in case you are not coming, I am going to emulate myself. Emulation will happen and suicide, that is Atmahuti, will be done. But immediately Rama, after completion of the 14th years, he came by Pushpaka Vimana and they went to Nandigrama. This story we remember. Then in the same way, Ramayana, we have two pairs of brothers, Vali and Sugriva. We see the difference between Rama Lakshmana, Bharata Shatrughna, and another difference between these Vali and Sugriva. Each of them, they were not in good terms, leave it. They were forcing the others to kill that person. Sugriva was in a mood to request Rama to demolish the entire kingdom of Vali. And another example is these demon brothers, Ravana and Vibhishana. we go to the Yuddha Kanda, then we have the narration of the entire dialogues between the Vibhishana and Ravana, and Vibhishana tried to persuade his brother, elder brother, to leave Sita to Rama and get a concluding part, and then he will be able to rule the entire demon kingdom. But he did not accede, and finally he has thrown him out, and he came to the Sharanagati of Rama, and Rama accepted him, and he took him under his roof. Similarly, the another brotherhood is between Ravana and Kumbhakarna. He simply obeyed the orders of Ravana, and he did not question him why you have done this or whatever has happened. He simply obeyed his brother's orders. Another pair of brotherhood is Jatayu and Sampati. These incidents I am quoting to show how the traditional values of Ramayana are narrated in the different forms of brotherhood. Here, in this case of Jatayu and Sampati, they were very close. And in fact, Jatayu was the close friend of Dasharatha. He helped him several times also, and both of them were very good friends. These two birds, they were flying. And at one point of time, when the rays of sun were very much nearer to Sampati, Jatayu helped him to come out of that, and he has burnt his own wings. So that is the brotherhood. And this way, Valmiki narrated different types of brothers in his own thing. And another couple, Maricha and Subahu, these two brothers also, they are very famous because they belong to the clan of Tataka, and both of them were spoiling the yaga of Vishwamitra. And at one point of time, Rama, through his arrow, has killed the Subahu, and Maricha was thrown to the sea. Similar brothers of Janaka Maharaja and Kushadwaja also, we have these two people who had very close relationship in the entire Ramayana. Janaka and Kushadwaja were brothers, and they were ruling different countries. And the way they behaved, when Janaka said that we will give Urmila, Mandavi, and Sruta, Urmila and give.
Sir, your voice has stopped.
He has to unmute, I think. Please unmute, sir. Please unmute.
Hello? Yes, sir.
We hear you, sir.
Yeah, please. Sir, our learned scholars can participate in the discussion, sir.
Okay, I'll unmute them. We will interact with you.
Yeah, please.
So anybody who wants to say anything, raise your hand. I'll unmute. I'll take one by one. Gautam ji. One minute. Okay. I think there are some messages in the chart. Let me take it. Please repeat brothership of Sampati and Jatayu. Sampati and
Sampati.
Sampati and Jatayu.
So, yeah, I will.
Again struck up.
Yeah, again you are not heard, sir.
Call him.
I've unmuted Gautam ji. Somehow it.
Yes, Namaskar. Very good lecture. Is fine. I mentioned that actually Rabindranath Tagore wrote a dance drama totally, Valmiki Pratibha. And there it shows that first the Surat Ratnakar, he is roaming around the whole jungle and with his all the dacoit gang and doing all these shikaras, killing various killing they used to do dacoity. They are performing dacoity in nearby villages and so on. And then suddenly they were actually give some sacrifice to a little girl before goddess Kali. Then this little girl somehow changed his mind, and he left this turned from dacoity. He was changing, and suddenly that the Koncho Mithuna came, and then he got totally changed. And then the Devi Saraswati blessed him that he will be great poet. And that was narrated in Rabindranath Tagore's Valmiki Pratibha.
Sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, please.
Now we hear you.
Yeah. There was a problem of
No problem.
connection. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Now the request was Jatayu and
Sampati. Yeah. I narrated the way how Sampati and Jatayu were touring, and when they come nearer to the sun, Sampati was about to be killed because of the rays of the Lord Sun. Then Jatayu, with his wings, he protected him, and both of them have fallen. And both these characters are very important in the Ramayana episode, because at the time of Ravana abducting Sita, Jatayu obstructed him, and he has fought with him with his great strength. Though he was at a very old age, he was able to fight with him, and he could stop him at a point, but he was not able to control him. And finally, he struck the wings of Jatayu, and he was thrown out. At the end of the story, again, when all these Vanaras were moving towards the search of Sita, Sampati helped them, saying that I am able to see the inner parts of Lanka where Sita was kept, and you can go there, and Sita is available there. So both the brothers, and when Jatayu was about to die, Rama and Lakshmana came, and they performed the funeral rites of Jatayu. And when he mentioned that I am a good friend of your father, Dasharatha, then he said, you are like my father. And he performed the funeral rites. That shows the sympathy of Rama. Even for a bird, he was very, very much devoted. And whatever had small help has received from them, he kept it in his mind, and he was very grateful to them. That is the way both Jatayu and Sampati, they are the main characters. Not only the Vanaras, even the birds also helped him. Even we can mention about the Uduta, squirrel also helped him. It was a small story narrated in other stories, not in Valmiki. So that is the brotherhood of Jatayu and Sampati, sir.
Okay. There is another request, sir, the difference between Valmiki and Tulsidas Ramayana.
Yeah. There are so many explanations because Ramacharita has so many stories not told by Valmiki. He has his own way of describing Rama, and in his own way, in the Ramacharita he has mentioned Rama as a very big personality and very close to the divinity. So for him, he was almost like a god. So that is why even nowadays they keep the Ramacharita in their puja gruha, and they keep it as a. In the case of Ramacharita Kathanam, both Rama and Sita met at the garden before marriage. This is narrated by Tulsidas. And otherwise, in Valmiki Ramayana, both Rama and Sita, they never met before the marriage. But here, he has narrated a story saying that both Rama and Sita met at the garden and before the marriage also. And Goddess Parvati blessed Sita about the marriage with Rama. Here, in the Ramacharita it is mentioned like this. Kankana kinkini nuburadhuni suni. Kahata lakhana sana ramu kurdu yuguni. Manaku madana dundu bhidinki. Manasa bisvabhijaya kahi kanki. What is this? Rama saw Sita moving ahead and her kankanas were giving a sound. After listening to the sounds of the bangles of Sita, Rama explained to Lakshmana about her beauty. So both of them were glancing at each other, and they were love at first sight, we can say. In another incident, Ramacharita Rama's childhood has been narrated. He described it in a different way. Every day, Kausalya gave the offering to God. She went inside the kitchen on that particular day. After offering the Naivedya to the God, she went inside the kitchen, and the little Rama was eating. She was very much worried. The boy in the cradle is laughing. So there are two Ramas now. At that point of time, Sri Rama showed his Akhanda Rupa, that is his whole divinity. This is not Vishwarupa. When Dasharatha invited him for having food, Rama did not come. Normally, when his father invites, he didn't go. Even when Kausalya tried to catch hold of him, he evaded. So he used to sit on the lap of Dasharatha, even with the dirty clothes. This is the way in Ramacharita Tulsidas, Goswami Tulsidas. In fact, he was in a meditating period, and in a mood of meditation, he wrote that book, and it has become very, very popular and a divine book for the entire North Indians, written in Hindi and Abadhi language. Please.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wants to speak?
Mहोदय नमस्कारः. I'm Prabhakarः वदामि. We are blessed with your analysis on Ramayana. My request is Adhyatma Ramayana, who has actually written and which language?
Yes.
And what is the difference? How do you differentiate between Adhyatma Ramayana and Valmiki Ramayana?
Yeah, I studied for this purpose both Adhyatma Ramayana and Valmiki Ramayana and other Ramayanas also. So there are a lot of differences in narrations, particularly in the case of Shivadanur-bhanga. The Shivadanur-bhanga happened like this in Valmiki Ramayana. Aropayitva dharmatma purayama satadhanuhu tadbhavanja dhanurmadhye narashreshto mahayasha tasya shabdo mahanasi nirghata samanisvanaha bhumi kampascha sumahan parvatasyeva diryataha. Even the mountains trembled and the entire earth trembled, and Rama has opened the arrow and bow. So in Adhyatma Ramayana, when the entire world trembled at once, Sita prayed all gods. She said, I will stay in forest for 14 years if Rama is successful in lifting this bow. This is the narration of Adhyatma Ramayana, because it was never narrated in Valmiki. She has taken a vow saying that I will go to the forest for 14 years, because it in other ways says she has contemplated it early of Kaikeya and happened like this, but it is not there in other thing. So in the case of Janaka Maharshi, when the Sivadhanurbhanga happened, Janaka prayed like this: Bhagavan drustaviryo me ramo dasharathatmajaka atyadbhutamachincha natarkitamidam maya. I never expected that this boy will spoil this bow. And Janaka said, Sita bharta Rama asyadya, Sita bharta Ramasyadya, Ramam dasharathatmajam, mama satya pratignya cha, virya sulketi kaushika, Sita pranai bahumata, deya Rama me suta. My daughter Sita will be happy with Rama. Janaka sent word to Dasharatha and the marriage happened. So in the case of Adhyatma Ramayana, there are several ways of deviations. They were incorporated in a different way, and people believe that it is also an extra of Valmiki Ramayana. So Adhyatma Ramayana in a way has been translated into Telugu also, and very much popular.
Who wrote it and who wrote
One
Adhyatma?
Sundarachari, sir, Govindachari, who wrote in Telugu, sir.
So, no, not Telugu. I'm talking about the Adhyatma Ramayana in Sanskrit.
The Sanskrit word is written by one Mr. I cannot say Mr. He was of a great thing. The very first work was done by, I didn't remember exactly his name. It is a very popular book.
But I understand it's written by Vyasa. I was told it was written by Vyasa, Adhyatma Ramayana.
Vyasa.
Vyasa Rachita Adhyatma Ramayana, I have seen somewhere.
I will find out, because I have a book with me. I will just find out.
And does Rama know, in Adhyatma Ramayana, Rama knows that he is a god, he is a Vishnu.
Yeah. Because the entire Adhyatma Ramayana, please continue.
And Valmiki doesn't say that anywhere.
No. In Valmiki, Rama is an ordinary human being.
What is the reason for Adhyatma Ramayana people do this? How does it differentiate? Why they should
Because
do that?
at the later dates, when all the avatars are over, because Krishna behaved like a divine person, and there is no other divine avatar after Krishna. So when people thought that Rama is also a divine person with all his divinity, because at the time of Matanga Ashrama also, when he went to Sharabhanga Maharshi, Lord Indra was there. He saw Rama, but he left the place saying that I will see Rama at a convenient place and at a proper time, and not now. So he immediately left. But both of them have seen, but Rama saw Indra and Indra has seen Rama, but he immediately left it because he doesn't want to create a scene before an ordinary Rama. When he killed Ravana, then only he became divine. And everybody knows, all the gods, they know that he is a divine personality. And at the request of gods only, Devatas only, he came into the earth in the womb of Kausalya. And everybody knows. And
even Valmiki also knows. Even Valmiki also knows, because
he also knows.
Because he told Vishnu Avataram and all these, but
yes,
Rama doesn't know. Rama doesn't know that he is Avatar.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And
Namaste, Andy. Can I just add a point here, sir, with your permission?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, na peru Ramakrishna Andi, namaskaram. Ekkada ma nannagaru cheppindi entante deentlo dharma sukshmam రామ అవతారం ఇప్పుడు దాని బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ చూస్తే అది ఆ అవతారం ఎట్లా వచ్చిందంటే, సారీ ఐఎమ్ స్పీకింగ్ ఇన్ తెలుగు.
No problem.
ది పాయింట్ ఈజ్ Rama Avatara has got a significance that he
శుభ్రంగా
has.
తెలుగులో చెప్పండి సార్, శుభ్రంగా తెలుగులో చెప్పండి.
Until there are some people who cannot follow, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so the Dharma Sukshma here is Rama Avatara. If you see the background, he has to kill Ravana only in Manava Avatar. That is defined. So Valmiki had gone by that, very strictly, correct. While Valmiki also knows, that he is none other than Vishnu, he maintained that sanctity all throughout, because that is the way the Rama Avatar has been, brought here. Whereas Adhyatma Ramayana or all others, like, Tulsidas, they had tried to depict, Rama in a divine way also, because everybody knows that he is a divine person. So Valmiki was focusing on the very important aspect of why Rama came on the earth, and then wrote the entire thing. Whereas others could see the more detailed aspects of his divinity, and then they brought it out. That's how the distinction has been made. Both are correct in their own handling of the matter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ramakrishna Garu. Sir, you want to say something? You want to say?
Point is there in the chart. I would like to ask one more question. This Ravana, the character of Ravana, having so much knowledge, so much Vedic powers and other things, how could he not understand the divinity of Rama?
Who?
Ravana, how could he not understand the divinity of Rama? With having so much knowledge, so much Vedic powers, and even Shiva he could impress.
Yeah.
What is the reason behind that? That Ravana is only ego. His only ego, it made him to blind. So blind.
Yeah. Because the characterization of Ravana, he is a very, very learned man. He has all the compositions of Vedas. He was the grandson of Paulasya Brahma, and he knows that he is doing wrong. Even when Mandodari advised him not to do such acts, and when almost all the people advised him to leave Sita and beg the pardon of Rama, he was very much inclined towards the death, because as all of us know, the curse of Sanaka Sanandanas to Jaya Vijaya. So Ravana and Kumbhakarna are to be killed by these gentlemen. As our friend Mr. Ramakrishna told, it is invariably that a man alone can kill Ravana, because the boon which he had from Brahman was, he cannot be killed by a man or a Vanara. And it happened, both Vanaras helped Rama, and Rama in the form of a man, as Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha, but he says, I am a Manusha. And whenever he was in a anger mood also, Rama never threatened anybody, saying that. Only at one point of time, when Samudra did not obey his request, when he did for that Rayopavesha, then only he showed his anger. And he said, I will spoil the entire universe. Then Lakshmana and others, they requested him not to go for that. Here in this narration of several incidents, we know that Rama is a divine person. Ravana also may be knowing, but because of his arrogance and his egoistic character, he does not budge an inch towards the advices of so many people. Vibhishana requested him. Mandodari told him in point every way she has to tell. And even then, he did not agree for these suggestions. Even though he lost all his entire community, his sons and the kingdom, he was not prepared to do for the sake of his egoism. So here we have to accept that Ravana also knows that a divine personality has come to kill him. But according to the story of Jaya Vijaya, we have to believe that Ravana and Kumbhakarna are to be killed. In the previous occasion, they were Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipa. In this avatara, it is Ravana Kumbhakarna. In the next avatara, it was Shishupala Dantabhaktara. So it is to be destined, and it is the destination of all these people to go back as Jai Vijayas. So this story of Sanaka Sanandana we all know. And so Ravana, though perfectly knows that Rama is a divine personality, he did not do so.
So he behaved purposefully like that.
Yeah.
Knowing very well that he is to be killed, he purposefully behaved so that he will be killed.
Yeah, and he can go back.
So he got virakti and invited quickly.
Yeah,
that way.
almost he was perturbed for a long time.
Yeah.
Because he was waiting for Rama to come and kill him.
People say 1 lakh years he lived.
Yes.
So, and one more thing, even Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana also advised. That's what Ramananda Sagar projected.
Yeah.
Is this correct? Is
Ramananda
Ramayana
Sagar's depiction was very good.
So that based on the Valmiki Ramayana doesn't say that.
Yeah.
Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana advocating Ravana. Not Vibhishana, Kumbhakarna and Indrajit also advocated in favor of Rama, leaving Sita. That was done by them, but Ravana did not hear.
Among the Dashavataras, only in Rama Avatara, 2 avatars have met. Whereas in other places, we can't see after the one avatara, the other avatara came. Matsya Avatara, after that Kurma Avatara, and then Varaha Avatara, and then Nrisimha Avatara. But in the case of Parshurama Avatara, before the concluding part of Parshurama Avatara, both Rama and Parshurama met. So many people think, why there should be another Avatara at the same time? So in this case also, Rama behaved like a human being. He never posed himself as a divine personality. When he spoke to Parshurama, he said, Gauravajyam Tritakadha Pitu Ramamatha Brevi. Keeping in view of my father beside me, I did not speak to you. So behave in a proper way, that he said. That is the nature of Rama. Respecting elders. And important thing is, he gave respect to Parshurama also, since he is the close friend of Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is his guru, and Parshurama and Vishwamitra are very much close, akin to them. So, Brahmano asiti pujyame Vishwamitra krutena cha. This is the word Rama has uttered when he was about to send the Parshurama. So Parshurama behaved in a very indecent manner with Rama, but it is again the story.
Sir,
so here we have to please tell.
May I ask? Actually, the same Parshurama who was the guru of Karna in Mahabharata. And there also Lord Krishna and Parshurama was contemporary, but I think that time Parshurama was no more an avatar. Something like that.
Yeah.
But he was the same Parshurama as whom Sri Rama met, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to ask one question about Ahilya. Sir, firstly, I wanted to know, I have read many versions. I don't know what's the truth version. So please tell me what is the truth version. Did it actually happen that Shri Gautam actually cursed her to be a stone? Like he was a learned rishi, but without knowing the truth, he cursed her. And what happened of Ahilya after she was blessed by Lord Ram and turned to a normal lady? Did she went back to Rishi Gautam, or did she went for some puja or something like?
No. Gautama accepted her. The story is like this. Ahalya was not in a stone. As per the Valmiki, she was dipped in a dhusarita, and she was smelling. She had her own uchvasa and ichvasas. And when the Rama entered into that ashrama, Gautama ashrama, then she woke up, and Lakshmana and Rama bowed before Ahalya. That is the another important thing. he never behaved that he is a great person, and he gave her the right of rebirth. Shapasyam tamupagamya tesham darshanamagata Raghavau tu tatastasya padau jagruhutu stada. She honored them with Arghyapadya. And then at the same time, Gautama also came and she accepted her, and both of them blessed Rama, and the entire Devatas, they also blessed him. This is the first instance when Rama's divinity was revealed. Second time, it was Shabari Ashrama, where Shabari was there. And another important thing which we have to remember is, when they went to Mithila, the son of Ahalya, Shatananda, was there, and he is the priest of Janaka Maharaja. He welcomed both Rama and Lakshmana with Purna Kumbha. He was doubly happy since his mother was moved from a bank. Then Janaka, after seeing Rama, he was very much pleased at the way Rama was seen. Imau kumarau bhadrante devatulya parakramau gajasimha gati virau shardula varshabhopama padmapatra vishalakshau khadgatuni radhanurdarau ashwina vivarupena samupasthita yauvanau. They are like Ashwini Devatas. After seeing that, their valor and their presence and their look, he was very much impressed. That is why we have to remember the episode of Ahalya also. When Shatananda was overwhelmed with joy, he questioned Vishwamitra. Api Rame Mahateja Mama Mata Yashashwini Vanairupa Harat Pujam Pujarhe Sarvadehinam. Whether Rama has accepted my mother's puja, whether both my parents got united, this is the way Shatananda requested. So we should not have any doubt about the Ahalya having gone back to some other place. Both of them were in the company, Gautama and Ahalya.
Sir, what did you say? So she was not turned to stone but dipped in. So what was the word? I missed the word. Dipped in what? So you said Ahalya was not turned to a stone, rather she was dipped in?
Dhuli dhusarita. Dust.
Okay, sir, dust. Thank you, sir.
She was
Okay.
covered with the dust.
Thank you.
Sir, namaste.
Yeah, please.
Now we have one more question.
Yeah.
Subhinan.
Yeah, sir, thank you. Sorry for my ignorance, but I just want to understand one thing, sir. When Ravana was knowing everything about that, he was going to be killed, and he was eagerly waiting for that. In such a situation, he allowed, he has put all his children and, the other Sainika soldiers and all that for sacrifice. So what is the Dharma Sukshma in this particular thing?
It is simple, sir. We have seen so many people also. If we compare it with our modern history or modern parliamentary procedures, people know that they will be thrown out as prime minister or chief minister, but till the last minute, they will try to keep that chair. Similarly, Ravana knows that he will be killed by Rama, but according to the curse of Sanaka Sanandanas, he has to go back to Jai as Jai at the feet of Lord Vishnu. So with arrogance only and his egoism, that spoiled him. And there are several versions of he was abducting Sita also. They say it is not Sita, it was Vedavati. In the previous birth, he misbehaved with her and she cursed him. So these stories are there. So the variations of Valmiki, they gave us a picture that the original Rama and the deviations of Valmiki Rama. Valmiki Rama is the original Rama, but after a later day, when people behaved that he is a god and he is believed to be a god, all these people at the time of the death of Ravana also, when Dasharatha came, he also blessed Rama to perform his own duties. So that is the way we have to treat like this.
My point here is sacrificing his people is justified for his own benefits.
In a way, he behaved like an arrogant person. He doesn't bother about his people being put to difficulties, because his own brother died, his sons died, and his entire kingdom was at the beset.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Last question we will take Ramakrishna Garu.
Namaste Andi. 2 points I wanted to state, sir, with your permission. One is about the just now whatever has been discussed. We can see the parallel, today in the ongoing war, between Ukraine and Russia also. The individuals, are making an entire, operation going on, where, thousands and thousands are dying, and, a lot of destruction is happening. So that actually one individual can make such a vast difference is the lesson there. So same thing happened with Ravana. Even though he knows that a lot of people are going to die of his own kingdom, so he went ahead and made all that destruction possible. Second point I wanted to say, sir, with respect to the discussion, Sri Prabhakar Rao Garu was asking, that when Ravana was knowing everything, why he had gone ahead and fought with Rama. So one Dharma Sukshmam which I heard from my father, I just wanted to share. Same way. Here what he said is that once Ravana is on the earth, even though he may be a very learned person, he may be having a lot of high scholarly qualities and all those virtues. What happens is that the Maya on the earth, nobody can escape. So that is what has brought Ravana to doing all what he had done, and in the process, the cosmic design, of he going back, as Padmanabha Rao has said, that he has to go back to his original route, as that Jaya Vijaya, that has to happen. So nobody can escape this particular divine design, and Maya will really take over and make everything possible this way. So just wanted to share, sir. Thank you.
In case of Rama also, it is said like that.
Yes.
He is also under the cover of Maya.
Exactly.
So he doesn't behave like a divine personality.
Exactly.
He behaved like a regular human being. He wept, and he has behaved like an ordinary person.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, excuse me, sir. May I ask you a small question, sir?
Yeah.
I have come across some books depending on the characters of Ramayana, like Vasishtha and Rama discussing Adhyatma, this Yoga Vasishtam.
Yeah.
And Janaka Maharaja Astavakra Gita.
Yeah.
These are discussions, books, depending on the characters of Ramayana. Were they originally written by Valmiki or some other writers?
No, I don't think that it is Valmiki's. Different personalities. I didn't remember those names, but it is different.
Yeah,
now the
it's
Sri
not from
Venkateswara
Valmiki.
Bhakti channel, they have started this Vasishtha Yoga Vasishtam, and they're narrating it. The way you said about Janaka and Vasishta's Samvada also, it is in a different way. It is not Valmiki, I still hope.
But the characters were of Ramayana, and the discussion was about philosophy and
yes.
very nice discussions they were giving.
Yeah.
So some people were this, as you said, Tirupati Devasthanam, SVBC, the people also have transmitted Kuppa Venkata Krishnamurti Garu. Some people have discussed about it, and sometime it was went on.
No, even now it is going on, sir. Yoga Vasishtam, Kuppa Vishwanatha Sharma, the son of Vishwanath Sharma, son of Krishnamurti.
Krishnamurti, yes, sir.
Satchidananda Swami. He is narrating the episodes every day between 6 and 7 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And it is a very wonderful discourse. Earlier he was narrating Bhagavad Gita.
Sir.
Now it is Yoga Vasishta for the last 1 month.
So just I wanted to know who was the author of those. In Sanskrit, maybe somebody originally written.
Yeah. I didn't remember, sir. I will find out, because two questions I have to answer. One is Yoga Vasishta and another is Adhyatma Ramayana. The
Thank you,
original
sir.
authors. I will find out. It is not difficult.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. For no other persons have any questions. Tomorrow also we are going to have the session from Padmanabha Rao Garu, and we will continue the discussions tomorrow. So let us now, can we close today, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we'll have Prarthana and then Janaganamana. I request all of you to stay back. Let's have Prarthana, please. Sundaraju.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu. Om Sarvesham Santirbhavatu. Om Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Satyam Vada Dharmam Jara Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheswara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi.
Okay, Dhanyavadaha. Let's have Janaganamana, CC Babu Garu.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्ज्वल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद
Jai Hind. Jai Hind. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
Dhanyavadaha.
Jai Shri Ram.
CC Babu Garu.